friends, thank you all for being here. Elders, I'm going to try and keep this as upbeat as possible, and as my sisters come up and help me if I need it. But please help me through this, because I do need to get these words out to say. Keep in mind that, though, that this is also a celebration of her life, and we're very proud to be here and what she did for all of us. My mom, she was a beautiful woman, a woman of elegance, grace, and style. And one of the things that that I always remember her is that if she ever had anywhere to go, she always made sure she looked good from head to toe. In order to pay honor to that, the women of the family, the young ladies of the family, are wearing many of the hats from her collection, and the men of the family are wearing brooches. And I can only ask if we're wearing them half as well as she did, we're representing her very well.
Amen.
As I reflect back on the memories of my mother, I would say that pretty much everything that she did in her life and in raising us came down to three main principles. And they were family, faith, and education. Just about everything she did came down to those three and helped shape us as to who we are. My mom's strong sense of faith and her conviction in education and the power of education were so overlapped that I like to say that she taught us the Word of God, but she preached us the power of education. Growing up, there was never a doubt in her mind that we would all be raised in the church and that we would all get our college degrees. It was never a matter of discussion. If you even broached the topic, she would just say, "You're out of your mind. I'm not even going to listen to you. What's done is done. It's not a matter of when you're going, it's just a matter of when." And as a grandmother, while she was still here to see her beautiful grandchildren grow up, she made sure those same values were instilled in each and every one. My mother also had a strong love for travel. And again, the overlap continues. As I was a youngster, most of the travel, as we were all youngsters, most of the traveling that we did was based on pretty much where our family was. We crisscrossed the country, traveling all throughout New York, New Jersey, South Carolina, Florida, Colorado, Georgia, Michigan, and all places in between, taking in sights, but making sure we got to know our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles, our cousins, and all other family members that we met at family reunions to make sure they got to know us and we got to know them. I'm very thankful for that, and I'm very thankful to see so many faces in this room today to help us say goodbye. And as we got older, with that travel, and my parents were able to retire and have some more time to themselves, that travel continued. They traveled throughout the country, as well as outside the country. And one of the main things I know my mother loved was taking cruises. And a few of the ones that I recall vividly are the ones they took up to Alaska, are the ones they took through the Panama Canal, and most importantly, the one we were able to all celebrate as an entire family down to the Caribbean to help her celebrate her 70th birthday. With that, my mom used to loved to tell stories. And whether or not it was about traveling or grandchildren or anything, this was one of the things that she loved to do. And on that note, just the one funny thing, just to try and again keep this a little bit light, I want everybody to get to know my mother as well as I do. One of the funniest things about her, if any of you knew her, she had this uncanny ability to drift asleep in the middle of the house. And whether or not it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or longer, she'd be able to come back up and act as if the conversation never happened. And, on that note, as we reflected on my mom, my sisters were telling me the story. I wasn't in the room at the time, but they were all sitting around watching a Denzel Washington movie marathon. And they started out watching the movie Glory. And about an hour or two or so into the movie, my mom started to drift asleep. And as she, started to begin to kind of wake up, and a few minutes after she kind of regained her senses, she goes, I love Denzel Washington, but I'm sorry, I missed part of the story. The second part is that the movie, The Mighty Quinn, had already started and was in the middle. So hopefully there are enough Denzel Washington fans in here to understand this and not ask somebody later. But she came to her senses and she goes, I love Denzel Washington, but I don't understand. First he's a soldier, then he's a policeman. Somebody help But to get to the core of my mom's true character, substance, selflessness, and how she raised us, I'm going to share a little story, and this is the part where I maybe my sister and I know that. My mother was first diagnosed with multiple myeloma about 17 years ago. And upon hearing that news, she made the decision that she was going to battle this fight on her own. She didn't tell my father. She didn't tell any of my three sisters. And she didn't tell me. Now, why she chose to do that, I don't know. But I can only guess that through the strength and power of her faith and her ability to educate herself, that she elected to take on this battle on her own and appreciate the time that she was still going to be on this earth and be with us, to not have us feel burdened, to not have us pity her, or to not have us fret over. She wanted to maximize her time living her life and making sure she continued to do what she always did, and that was protect us and put herself last. Forever grateful for that, and I felt that needed to be shared. And with her ability to educate herself, I think I also, started to have a better understanding as to, why she became so educated in regard to traditional medicine, alternative medicine, vitamins, exercise, healthcare, you name it. And the beautiful part about her, as she was learning how to do all of these things to strengthen her body so she could live with us for as long as she can, she didn't keep this information to herself. She shared it and made sure that everyone that she came across, if she could help them, she would. Now, they didn't always want to hear the message, but she knew with a clean heart and pure intentions, didn't matter if you wanted to hear it or not, she knew she was doing the right thing. One other thing about my mom is that I love them, but if I break down. One other thing is that nothing made my mom happier than the holidays. Particularly when we were able to fill up the room and be together as an entire family. It didn't matter whether we were in Bamberg, in New York, or Virginia. Nothing made her happier than the house brimming over with her children, grandchildren, having the family all together, lots of good food, and for those of you who knew my mom, she could burn, and I mean that the best way. And also having it filled with lots of love and lots of laughter. And I am so thankful that we were all able to spend one last Christmas together as a family before it was her time. And on one last personal note, this last piece is just really how my mother impacted me personally. As I've gone through my life's journey, I've been blessed to experience some very high peaks, but also been blessed to survive some very low lows. And through it all, my mother's calm, steady, positive influence never wavered, and her message to me was essentially always the same. When I was celebrating one of life's successes, she would say, "Son, I love you. We are so very proud of you. You are truly blessed. Remember to keep your faith and trust in God, because through Him, all things are possible."
All right.
And when I was having some darker days and going through some challenges, the message was always the same. "Son, I love you. We are so very proud of you. You are truly blessed. Remember to hold on to your faith in God and trust Him, because through Him, all things are possible. And we'll get through this together." Those words have never resonated so strongly as they do today. I am thankful for her encouragement and insistence that we maximize the educational possibilities that were allowed to us, as well as her insistence on having us raised in the church and establish a strong sense of belief and faith in God. Through her efforts, she has taught us to continuously educate ourselves, express ourselves clearly, and have the conviction to stand behind what we say. This is how she lived her life, and I am forever grateful that she pushed and encouraged us to have the same abilities. So on that note, I love you, Mom. We are all so very proud of you. You have been truly blessed. You have always held on to your trust and faith in God, because through Him, you always knew all things are possible. You lived your life your way, and you are leaving us on your terms. You can now rest in peace, knowing that you have touched the lives of many and fulfilled your purpose. Amen.